What's up, guys? This is Chris White from Chris MTW Media, and we're going to be talking about part two in the top 3 things I wish I was taught in school. And if you remember, or if you haven't watched part one, we talked about how to build credibility and why that's important, and how it came to that, and how I was able to figure out the different elements that make credibility. Because like in school, you were able to get maybe a diploma or a certificate, but maybe they stop there. That's it. And that's why I call the school system a cookie cutter solution, because they focus on the one product, which is your certification, the form, as you would hear it from Peter Thiel from 0 to 1, substance over form, but you would get form. So it was a funny like text message I got. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it would be funny if you guys did. But anyways. Yeah, the funny story yesterday, I might as well talk about it. There's a buddy of mine who called during an event, and the guy who was speaking recognized who was calling. He announced it to everybody that person called him, and there was a lot of people that knew him in the room. So I just had to let him know, hey man, you were broadcasted to the whole event that you were calling that person. So I just think it would be a funny I would kick, because inside joke, because we're good friends. So yeah, we talked about how to build credibility, and now we're going to be talking about how to become an expert. And if you wanted to check the video before, it's about finding your purpose, getting the energy, so then you can fuel the vehicle, the rocket, to go above, head and shoulders the rest, so you can reach expert levels. You can't reach expert levels. You could, but it's really difficult. It takes a lot of time. I always think expert level is always shifting higher, the rich get richer kind of thing, because those people just love, and you don't want to be in the shadow of an expert. I don't know, this is an interesting debate, but this is where I'm siding. I think the standard of expert always rises. So you don't want to be slow in getting to expert or holding that position, because I only think it's viewed in a pyramid shape. I'm going to share with you this, but only a few people can be expert. It depends on how you perceive about what an expert is, but I think only a few can hold the title of expert, not a whole bunch of people. So that's why you need a whole bunch of energy and energy or fuel for the vehicle to get to expert level. And the vehicle would be your interest, your passion, your purpose, all these things, your personality, the trends, and all that meshing together to be able to get you to expert, to launch you to expert. And the goal is to leverage our reputation, because that's what it's what Lewis Howes, and this Harvard professor who teaches finance, that's what he recommends in his book, The Wisdom of Finance. And he talks about Archimedes and leverage, and Warren Buffett, all these people. If you think about the people from Shark Tank, they get this halo effect. It's their reputation and then they leverage. It lasts a long time. People are just fanatics. They just love them. They don't have to worry about trust or attention anymore because of that halo effect. And we're going to be talking about that in how to become an expert level. And there's 3 phases. Before we get to that, we're going to share of the find of the day, and that's going to be AppSumo. So this is for those people who watch this and are entrepreneurs that love entrepreneurship. The AppSumo gives great software and tools, so then you can carry out whatever you need to carry out, whether it's a CRM or a proposal software. That's what I got. I host this meetup called Grant Cardone 10X Addicts, and we meet every Wednesday and Saturday. And Wednesday, I meet over at the Starbucks down in the Frontenac, and somebody came up who is trying to do an agency on SEO, told me about this, and he was like, "Yeah, man, here's a secret I don't tell most people." So and he shared it with me, this AppSumo, they have these awesome softwares that just boost your performance, help you be organized, and look more professional. And that's kind of what I was after, because branding has to do with business, and those are good branding plays. And AppSumo is really good because they give you, it's like a beta launch, a beta test launch. They get a small test group for people for a lifetime price. Recommend it highly. So now back to what we were talking about. We're talking about how to become an expert. So I know this might seem at odds with the first video, part 1, like how to build credibility. You would think if you built enough credibility over time, you would become an expert, and that's part of it. So I think there's actually 3 pieces of how to become an expert, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution. So you see what I did there? But I think it comes down to either learning, application, or and focus. Learning or application and focus. You see that formula? You need one of these and this. So, and you need focus in order to become an expert. We'll just get that out of the way. But then learning, you could be either a consultant who knows, you share what you know and you push them along, as what Frank Kern says. You just push the boulder, and it's almost like the Home Depot. You can do it, we can help, but you're leveraging your knowledge and also your network of people that you know to help them along. And then there's more of the freelance level where you're more results oriented. As a consultant, they could get the results, they might not. You won't give a guarantee, but as far as like a freelance, you're the one that's doing it for them, and they want to see results. So there's the consultant, there's the freelancer expert, and then there's also the perceived expert. So those are the 3 modes, and we're going to jump in just kind of what that means, where I got it from. So before we jump into that, we're going to talk about focus, because it seems like to be the core. Like, you need focus, and I was just learning from Tai Lopez, you need to have broad learning but focused action. And I like where he's taking that, because it makes you into an eclectic person. You're able to make connections if you're creative to a lot of things. But I think at some level you need like a base of focused knowledge. You need like the strong base of focused knowledge, whatever industry you decide you want to go into. So figuring out your industry and what you want to go to, you need to check the video before this, which was the Elon Musk and the 80 to 100 hours work week. I think it's not on my profile page, but it's on my fan page. So go ahead and check that out. But so focus, you need to figure out, I kind of drew this. I had to draw it backwards because, so you would start here. You see, that's how it looks when you write it down regularly. And that's how it looks when you write it down backwards. So I think I did pretty good. So you start with your market industry. So in Expert Secrets from Russell Brunson, he talks about the 3 markets of health, relationships, and wealth. And then he breaks it down next into submarket. So submarket of health probably would be nutrition or running or maybe weightlifting. And then a submarket for nutrition would be paleo or vegan or vegetarian or just regular health, weight loss. So you see how that kind of cascades, and eventually these niches are going to be too populated to where you're going to have to cross 2 niches together. So weight loss for vegans, or I think I heard something outside. It just freaked me out. So yeah, that's kind of how that works, and achieving focus. And I think you want to have broad knowledge, at least in your submarket and a little bit of your market. I think that's good to have broad knowledge in that enough, or deep knowledge in that enough, so then you could go broad in other things. I don't know, like you want it to be at least somewhat connected, like in the sandbox. But then the focused actions should be on the niche. Like you make a system that's able to get results for that niche. And I'm speaking mostly to entrepreneurs because other kind of, you could apply this to it, but you would have to kind of figure out, like, reverse engineer it. I don't like to break down a system that's already working and that's already been found. So I'm trying to demystify expert for the entrepreneur. So that's kind of how you should approach focus. Blair Enns talks about this in his book, Win Without Pitching, and he talks about how the creative person wants to open all these doors, but he promises that if you stick to one door, there's more doors behind the one door. And I think that's really key in terms of picking a place of a market you want to serve, of people, and the knowledge and actions in the system you want to build for those people, and making sure that the market is there. That's key. So before you actually start building your product or like copying a leader in their product, you obviously want some kind of tested results. Like if there's a big player that's killing it, then that's a tested result. Like there's a market there. It's just you won't have the first mover's advantage. So okay, so we got the focus part out of the way. Now we're going to be talking about the 3 modes of expert, and that's the freelancer, the consultant, and the perceived expert. And Ben Settle, I really love his copywriting, and I see him as an expert in copywriting. He said it like this: you just need if you look back to the first part 1 with building credibility, he took the long-term thing you're shooting for in building credibility, which is getting on print with publication or magazine or on the air, and getting on that as quick as possible. And his strategy is, for one, you get a halo, kind of like as if you were on Shark Tank. Like people will be like, oh my gosh, like I watch, they'll be a fan. And then go on speaking gigs for that, and then that's what he says is the second best. You want to get in the air, in the print, or on video, and then if next best thing, if you can't do that, get on the podium effect, go on speaking. And he says even if you don't have results, just give them something to write. And I don't know, I find that you can do that if it's a low-hanging fruit for you, because these are strategies. I'm giving you 3 modes so you can make a strategy based on where you're at, because a strategy is good for figuring out based on context. A tactic is kind of a cookie cutter, one size solution fits all type thing. Like if you just keep on doing this tactic over and over, but there might be times where you would do it at the wrong time or the wrong situation and the results won't come. That's not a strategy, that's a tactic. So a strategy is where it kind of, you're able to use your brain to critically think the time and situation, which mode is best for you. Like if you've done a whole lot of freelancer expert, then maybe you can jump on the bandwagon for getting the process of perceived expert going, because it's part of marketing. No one knows about you. No one can find you. Then are you really an expert? Expert is, you have to have people who see you as an expert, or fans, to actually be quote unquote the expert. It's not necessarily you that say you're an expert, it's other people. So we'll get that out of the way. So build the whole credibility ladder, or I don't know, maybe spectrum. That's a good way to kind of supplement to this as far as becoming an expert. And then there's the consultant expert. I'm gonna get in my notes because I wrote some awesome stuff I wanted to share with you guys. So Ben Settle, building credibility, focus on print or air, podium effect. And then that knowledge expert we got with Tony Robbins' story from Expert Secrets. Tony Robbins wanted to be a consultant for NLP. NLP is used for coaching, for sales, or for self-mastery. and tricking yourself so you can do stuff that you don't want to do. And or you could use it for so his story is where he started practicing without a license. He started teaching people, started consulting people, coaching people without a license of having NLP certification. And the people who operated the board or whatever, they didn't like that. But he said, if I'm getting results, if I'm helping them, it doesn't even matter. And that's kind of what I side on, because if you're getting them results, you can leverage that and use that and dish it to other people, because that's what, at the end, that's what matters. It's not the piece of paper. That could be like heated. It depends on profession and amount of damage that you could do, of course, but that's the way I see it. And then if you don't have, if you don't feel like you're the expert, you want to get there quickly, one way is to interview someone who is an expert in that space and get that knowledge. Ask them the questions, interview them. So then, for one, you could leverage that recording, and two, you'd be like, look, I asked an expert these questions, and then that by association and the fact that I asked these questions, you'll be perceived more as an expert. And then the freelance expert, I like this with Blair Enns. He talks about how you need to have focus. So that's kind of where I got that from. And also he says, like, if you want to be able to be an expert, you need repeated observation and application, and be able to get repeated results over and over and over and over for someone or different people. And that what that means is building a track record. Todd Brown says building a track record is the strongest thing you could ever have of credibility. So obviously, like, I like that because it's substance. And Peter Thiel says substance over form. And basically, substance is greater than form. And that's kind of what I cite on. Like, if you're able to get this track record made, you pretty much are set. You could go straight to perceived expert and just keep on building that, and you'll have a halo because you're able to get the result, and you'll be seen as an authority, positioned as an authority by publication and all those things, and you'd be cool. For some people who just don't want to do all that, they go more the consulting, like the knowledge expert, and that's cool. I plan to be a consultant in my work, and also done for you stuff, so it'll be a consultant freelancer. So I know someone just tuned in, but I'm done. See you next time.